One evening, I stood in front of the fridge way longer than I'd like to admit. Not because there wasn't any food, but because I didn't know what to choose. Now, keep in mind, I was a bit tired, so I wanted something quick. I didn't want to spend time cooking something that I wouldn't enjoy. I didn't have the main ingredient of the dish that I wanted to make. And I low-key wanted multiple things at the same time. So I stood there, scrolling on TikTok, calculating the opportunity cost of making one thing over the other, opening the fridge again as if the right ingredients would magically float towards me. Then it hit me. This was way bigger than just dinner. It was about the paradox of choice. As humans, we love having options. We interpret the idea of being able to choose whatever we want as freedom. That is, until we actually have to choose. You see, choosing means committing. Committing means eliminating. Eliminating means you might choose the wrong thing, and for some reason, not choosing feels safer. I think the first reason for this is fear. We think our decisions are set in stone, so we procrastinate making them because we're not 100% sure we'll make the right one. We fall into indecisiveness. Now, don't get me wrong, our decisions do matter, but a lot of things we find ourselves getting hung up on aren't as world-ending as we think they are. Context. My content journey. As a content creator and entrepreneur, this is exactly how I felt about niching down. I'm a multi-passionate person who loves marketing, faith, fashion, travel, the arts, and so on. So the word niche was like an offensive word to me. Alright? And it didn't help that 99% of the advice out there on making content or starting a business centered around niching. Or as I thought, putting myself into a little box and letting the other parts of myself lay dormant. So I put it off and tried to speak to everyone. This went on for years. I told myself I was keeping my options open, that by casting a wider net, I would get more opportunities. But the only thing it did was waste valuable time, drain my energy, and keep me stuck in a state of almost. This probably could have been prevented if I had taken the leap to commit to something. I now realize that maybe I couldn't choose yet because I was still becoming. I was still growing and learning about myself, about my interests, and about what things I could potentially do as a career. So what I don't regret is trying different things, because trying helps get you closer to clarity. On the first YouTube channel I started, I talked about everything from hair to fitness to fashion to food, etc. Those were all things I was interested in, but they're not necessarily things I want to be known for or solely make content about. I eventually came to the realization that I was meant to make videos about faith. At the time, I wasn't nearly as rooted in God as I am now, so the idea of making content around that topic didn't really make sense to me. I don't want to make content about that. Who would actually watch those kind of videos? This was my thought process at the time, but it's by making this kind of content that I actually impacted the most amount of people in a positive way. So let's talk about 3 actionable steps / mindset shifts that you can use to stop overthinking and to actually get moving, to gain traction in whatever it is you want to do, whether that's starting a business, whether that's making content. Let's get you a direction, all right? First up, exploration versus commitment. One thing I had to learn is that when it comes to discovering your niche or the direction that you want to go in terms of content, business, all of that, is that there are 2 different seasons. There's exploration and commitment. The exploration season is where you try different things, you experiment, you follow your curiosity. Commitment season is when you choose something to build depth in. Yeah? On my first channel, I remember someone had commented under one of my videos saying that my content was all over the place and that I should stick to one thing. Were they right? Yeah. But did I feel too bad about it? No. Why? I was in my exploration season. I was trying different things, figuring out what I liked and what I didn't like. And even if I liked that thing, I may not necessarily feel compelled to make content about that thing. And that's okay too. I enjoy the topic of hair and hair care, but I don't like it that much to the point where I want to make a whole channel about it. You see what I'm saying? The same applies to when I was standing in front of the fridge for all those minutes. If you're exploring, give yourself permission to experiment without pressure. But once you start seeing patterns in what excites you and what impacts people, it might be time to choose, thus entering the commitment season. Look for evidence, not just interest. When it comes to making content that actually gains traction, there is a balance that needs to be struck between doing whatever it is that you like and actually adding value to your audience. I see this often with new vloggers. They film their day, upload their video, and get little to no views. They might have been interested in what they did that day, but people who don't know them aren't. On the other hand, there are vloggers who, well, vlog, but they figure out a way to make it worthwhile for a stranger to watch. So they make it niche, like day in my life working in tech post-grad, or day in my life living abroad as a remote worker. These two topics offer insight to people who want to know what these two experiences are like before they take the leap themselves. A helpful question I started asking myself was, where is the evidence? I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. What do people consistently ask me for advice about? What topics do people respond to the most? And what kind of content feels natural for me to talk about? Number 3. Choose a direction, not a life sentence. Like I said before, a big reason people fear decisions is because they think they're permanent. But choosing a direction doesn't mean you're stuck forever. It just means you're choosing what to focus on for now. Think of it less like choosing a life sentence and more like choosing a lane for this season. That'll remove the pressure. What do I want you to take from this video? Unmade decisions steal more from you than wrong decisions ever will. Unless, of course, you make a really bad decision, just being honest with you. But when it comes to content, it's not that deep. The moment I chose who I served, nothing collapsed. I didn't lose opportunities, and I didn't bury the other creative parts of me. In fact, I'm able to incorporate them in ways I never expected. P.S. I ended up making a butternut squash and broccoli casserole, and it was bussin'. It was divine. So if you're a multi-passionate person like me who is looking to create content, start a business, or just find a community, then check out my Substack called Musings of a Multi-Passionate. This is where we talk about things like fashion and marketing, business and faith, and everything in between. It'll be listed in the description below, and make sure to like this video and subscribe so we don't lose each other. Rate them in ways I